going to read a reflection that was inspired by sitting here over the weekend reading a couple of lesser known speeches of Dr. Martin Luther King. One entitled The Other America caught my attention, and if you've been paying attention to the events unfolding in our nation's capital this past week, that one kind of hit me between the eyes and took on a whole different connotation, and yet just underscored the importance of that speech he gave back in April of 1967 at Stanford University. And in that speech, he said, "One America is a beautiful situation for millions in sunlight and opportunity, but there is another America that has a daily ugliness that constantly transforms the ebullience of hope into fatigue and despair. We have witnessed this other America right here in our community as we struggle with systemic racism and continued advocacy for equality, justice, and dignity. We witnessed another America in the events unfolding in our nation's capital this past week. And we witness a different America daily in our work. We are called to bear witness and transform despair into hope. The others that we serve need to be seen." Hold that for a moment as you consider your work today. Who will you encounter today? How are you called to bear witness to them? How will you ensure that you see them with open eyes? And how will you help them find their hope? In 1962 at Dartmouth College, Dr. King spoke of proud to be maladjusted. A common definition of maladjusted is a reference to one who cannot accept and abide by the social norm. Of this, he said, "There are certain things in our nation and in our world which I am proud to be maladjusted, and which I hope all men of goodwill will be maladjusted to until the good is realized in society." And he added, "I never intend to become adjusted." Dr. King was speaking of never becoming adjusted to segregation and discrimination. It's interesting to note that the hospice movement coincided with both the civil rights movement and the women's rights movement in this country, bringing the unseen into the light of day. Back then, here in our community, a few thoughtful maladjusters did not accept the status quo and had the audacity to believe that those facing end of life deserved to be seen, to die with dignity, and to do so without pain, and to do so in the company of those to whom they belonged, not accepting the status quo. Hold that for a moment. As you begin your work today, each of us carry on this history and tradition. Today, consider the possibility that you just may be maladjusted too. How will you go beyond the status quo? And again, in May of 1967, Dr. King spoke to the Hungry Club Forum in Atlanta. Curiously, it was a group of white politicians who met secretly to advocate ways to help African Americans realize their rights. Of this, he said, "We must know on some positions, cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expedience asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there are times when you must take a stand that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but you must do what is right. Above all, doing what is right." Hold that for a moment as you begin your workday. Consider what it means to do what is right in the day ahead. Many who have studied the words of Dr. Martin Luther King and his work identify three recurring tenets. The first is boldness of action. Bold action demands that we are intentional and deliberate, and that we do so with courage. Consider your work today. How will you be bold, intentional and deliberate, and courageous? The second tenet is to know, to live in, and to act consistently within our culture, to be accountable, and to act consistent with our mission and values. For us, that is gratitude and respect, accountability, compassion, empowerment, service excellence. Consider your work today. How will you embody our graces? The third tenet is belongingness, promoting the sense that all are welcome, that everyone belongs, that everyone has something valuable to contribute within our teams, on the inpatient unit, among our families, respecting the dignity and worth of everyone we encounter, witnessing their stories, truly seeing them, and joining with them in every encounter to help them meet their needs and realize their goals. Consider your work today. How can you ensure that everyone belongs? And there is, I believe, a fourth tenet: to not dwell on that which separates us, but to rather recognize our common ground, to assume the good in the other first, rather than seeing differences or assuming motives of another. Anticipating your work today and those you will encounter, of whom are you asked to first assume the good? Mindful of the events unfolding this week, particularly in our nation's capital, in our own community, and even aware of what is waiting for us as we begin our workday today. Let us continue to be boldly maladjusted and to embody the spirit of all those, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Make it a good day.